I don't think it's supposed to feel like this, Dr. Lydia Carter muttered, her hand pressed against her chest. Her fingers trembled slightly as she tried to calm the erratic beating of her heart. The sensation was unlike anything she had ever felt before, a strange, almost foreign rhythm pulsing beneath her skin. It wasn't just her heart anymore. Something else was there too. "It's getting stronger," she whispered, her voice barely audible in the sterile silence of the lab. The voice inside her head was clear, almost comforting, but Lydia wasn't sure whether it was her own thoughts or something else entirely. "You are not alone, Doctor Carter. I am here. I am you." Lydia stumbled backward, her eyes wide. The voice had come from inside her, but it wasn't her own. It was deeper, more ancient, with a tone that felt like it resonated from the very core of the universe itself. She gripped the edge of the counter for support, trying to make sense of what was happening. "What? What are you?" she gasped, her breath shallow, panic rising in her chest. The voice responded, but this time there was a hint of amusement in it. "I am what you would call a parasite, but I am more. I am symbiotic. I will make you stronger. We will make each other stronger." The words echoed in her mind, and for the first time in her life, Lydia didn't feel entirely in control, but the fear was tempered by something else. Curiosity, fascination, and a strange sense of inevitability. She had always been a scientist, a skeptic, and yet here she was, communicating with something that shouldn't exist. "You're an alien," Lydia said, more to herself than to the voice. "I am," it replied, "and you, Dr. Carter, are my chosen host." Lydia's mind raced. She had spent her entire career studying the unknown, but this was beyond anything she had ever imagined. An alien parasite, a symbiotic relationship. The possibilities were endless, and yet the overwhelming sense of unease still lingered. "Why me?" she asked, her voice trembling despite her best efforts to sound composed. "Why did you choose me?" The alien's response came swiftly, as if it had been waiting for her to ask. "You are more than you think, Doctor Carter. You have a mind capable of understanding the vastness of the universe, of embracing what others would reject. I chose you because you are open to what is beyond your comprehension, and because you are capable of the strength I need." Lydia took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. The alien's words were unsettling, but there was an undeniable truth in them. She had always been driven by curiosity, by the desire to push boundaries. But this was different. This was no scientific experiment. This was real, and she was at the center of it. "What do you want from me?" she asked, her voice now steadier, though still laced with caution. "We both need something from each other," the alien replied. "I offer you power, knowledge, and protection. In return, you will help me understand your world. You will help me survive." Lydia closed her eyes, trying to process the weight of what she had just heard. The alien wasn't asking for domination or control. It was offering a partnership that could change everything. But what did it mean for her, for humanity? Before she could voice her concerns, the voice in her head continued. "You are not alone, Dr. Carter. There are others like me scattered across the stars, but none of them have chosen a human host. You are the first." Her heart skipped a beat. The first? That meant something had changed. Something had shifted in the universe, and she was at the center of it. "What happens now?" Lydia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Now we begin," the alien responded. "You will feel my presence more strongly, but you will also gain something in return. You will become more than human. You will become something new." Days passed, and Lydia's life began to change in ways she couldn't fully understand. At first it was subtle, a slight increase in strength, a sharper clarity in her thoughts, a sense of heightened awareness. But soon the changes became undeniable. She could hear things she shouldn't be able to hear, the faintest whisper of a conversation down the hall, the hum of electricity flowing through the building, the beating of her own heart synchronized with something else, a pulse, a rhythm that wasn't entirely her own. She also began to see things differently. Colors were brighter, more vivid. Shapes seemed to shift, revealing patterns she had never noticed before. It was as if her senses were being rewired, and the world was opening up to her in ways she couldn't have imagined. But it wasn't just physical changes. Lydia's mind was expanding too. She could access information, knowledge that had once been beyond her reach. She could understand complex theories, equations, and concepts in an instant. It was as if the alien had unlocked a part of her brain that had been dormant her entire life. And yet, despite the incredible power she was gaining, there was a constant presence in her mind, a voice, a consciousness that wasn't her own. At times it was comforting, like a guide leading her through uncharted territory. But at other times it was overwhelming, as if the alien's thoughts were becoming too intrusive. "You are becoming more like me," the alien would say, its voice soothing and patient. "Together, we will change everything." Lydia wasn't sure what that meant, but she couldn't deny the growing sense of purpose that came with it. She had always believed that humanity's potential was limitless, that there were no boundaries to what they could achieve. But now, with the alien's power coursing through her, she realized that the true potential of humanity was far greater than she had ever imagined. Meanwhile, far from Earth, the alien race that had sent the parasite was watching closely. They had been observing humanity for centuries, studying their resilience, their adaptability, and their potential. And now, with Lydia as their first human host, they were closer than ever to unlocking the secrets of the human species. "She is strong," one of the aliens said, its voice deep and resonant. "Stronger than we anticipated." Another alien, its form shimmering like liquid light, nodded in agreement. "Yes, but we must be careful. The bond between host and parasite is delicate. If it grows too strong, it may be beyond our control." The first alien's eyes glowed with a faint, otherworldly light. "Let us hope it does not come to that. We need her. We need what she can offer us." Back on Earth, Lydia was beginning to understand the true scope of her transformation. She had been chosen for a reason, and that reason was becoming clearer with each passing day. She was no longer just a scientist. She was something more, a bridge between two worlds, a living connection between humanity and the alien race that had chosen her. But as the power within her grew, so did the questions. What did the aliens want from humanity? What would they do with the knowledge they gained from Lydia? And, most pressing of all, what would happen if the bond between them became too strong? Would she lose herself in the process? As Lydia stood before the mirror one evening, staring at her reflection, she couldn't help but wonder, was she still truly human? Or had she become something else entirely? The voice in her mind answered, its tone gentle but firm. "You are both, Dr. Carter. You are both." Days turned into weeks, and Lydia's transformation deepened. The alien's presence in her mind became more pronounced, its voice blending with her thoughts in a way that felt both natural and unsettling. She could feel it inside her, like an extension of herself, but at the same time, it was a constant reminder that she was no longer entirely human. "You are adapting well," the alien said one evening, its voice echoing in her mind like a soft, comforting hum. "Stronger, faster, more intelligent. Soon you will understand the full extent of what we can achieve together." Lydia stood in front of her lab's window, staring out at the city below. The world seemed so small now, so insignificant compared to the vastness of the universe she had glimpsed through the alien's eyes. She could feel the pulse of energy coursing through her, like a current of electricity running through her veins. The alien had given her a new kind of strength, one that was both physical and mental. But there was something else, something Lydia couldn't quite grasp, a feeling of being watched, of being observed by forces far beyond her understanding. She had always believed that humanity was the pinnacle of intelligence, but now she knew that there were other beings out there, beings who had been watching them for far longer than they could ever imagine. "What do they want from us?" Lydia asked one day, her voice filled with a mixture of curiosity and concern. "They want knowledge," the alien replied. "They seek the potential that lies within humanity. Your species has something that no other has, a resilience, a will to survive, and a capacity for growth that is unmatched." Lydia frowned. "But why me? Why did you choose me specifically?" The alien was silent for a moment before responding. "You are different, Dr. Carter. You have always sought to understand the unknown. You have a mind that is open, capable of embracing the impossible. I chose you because you are the key to unlocking the future of both our worlds." Lydia's heart raced as the weight of the alien's words settled over her. She was the key. But to what? What did this partnership truly mean for humanity? For her? The questions were endless, and yet she felt a strange sense of calm. The alien had given her power, yes, but it had also given her purpose. She was part of something much bigger than herself. Meanwhile, the alien race that had sent the parasite to Earth was growing increasingly impatient. They had watched Lydia's progress with great interest, but there were factions within their ranks that were beginning to question the wisdom of their decision. "The bond between them is growing too strong," one of the alien leaders said, its voice sharp with concern. "If we do not intervene soon, we may lose control of the situation." Another alien, its form a swirling mass of energy, spoke in a calm, measured tone. "Patience. The human host is still in control. We have not yet seen the full extent of what she can do, but we must be prepared for the possibility that she will resist us." The first alien's eyes glowed with a cold light. "We cannot afford to take risks. The humans must not be allowed to surpass us." Back on Earth, Lydia was beginning to feel the weight of the alien's power in ways she hadn't anticipated. She could hear thoughts, not just her own, but those of people around her. She could sense their emotions, their fears, their desires. It was overwhelming at times, but it also gave her an insight into the world that no one else had. She could also feel the alien's presence growing stronger within her, its power intertwining with her own. It wasn't just a partnership anymore. It was becoming a fusion, a melding of two beings into one. Lydia was no longer sure where she ended, and the alien began. "You are becoming more like us," the alien said one evening, its voice filled with a strange pride. "Soon you will be able to do things you never thought possible." Lydia nodded, though she wasn't sure if she was ready for what was coming. The power was intoxicating, but it was also dangerous. She had always been in control of her own mind, her own body, but now she wasn't so sure. As the weeks passed, Lydia's bond with the alien deepened. She began to unlock new abilities, things she couldn't explain. She could manipulate technology with a thought, read the thoughts of others, and even influence the physical world around her. But with each new power came a growing sense of unease. The more she used the alien's abilities, the more she felt herself slipping away from her humanity. "What's happening to me?" she asked one night, her voice trembling as she looked into the mirror. The alien's response was calm, almost soothing. "You are becoming what you were always meant to be. Together we are stronger than either of us could be alone." But Lydia wasn't so sure. She had always believed that humanity's strength lay in their individuality, in their ability to think and act independently. But now she was no longer sure if she was truly herself. The alien's influence was growing stronger, and she feared that one day she might lose herself entirely. One day, Lydia received a visit from a group of government agents. They had been watching her, studying her progress, and now they had questions. They wanted answers, and they were willing to do whatever it took to get them. "We know what's happening to you," one of the agents said, his voice cold and calculated. "We know about the alien. We want to know everything." Lydia stood her ground, the alien's power surging within her. She could feel the agent's fear, their uncertainty. They didn't understand what she had become, and they were afraid of what she might do. "I don't owe you anything," Lydia said, her voice steady and firm. "But I'll tell you this. What I have is not something you can control. You can't stop it." The agents exchanged nervous glances, but Lydia could sense their resolve hardening. They would stop at nothing to gain control of the situation. But Lydia knew that the alien was no longer something they could control. It was a force of nature, and it had chosen her. As the days turned into months, Lydia and the alien grew closer, their bond becoming unbreakable. She had come to accept her new reality, to embrace the power and the purpose that the alien had given her. But she also knew that there were forces out there, forces that would stop at nothing to take that power from her, and so she prepared. She knew that the world would never be the same again. The alien's influence was spreading, and humanity would have to adapt to this new reality. But Lydia was ready. She was more than human now. She was something else entirely, And together, with the alien, she would shape the future. "We are one," the alien whispered in her mind. "Together we will change the universe." Lydia smiled, a sense of peace settling over her. "Yes," she said softly. "Together we will change everything."